TIDES is an acronym which looks at 5 disruptive forces influencing pretty much any industry around the world. We've been doing research for the past 10 years, and we've identified these 5 forces pretty much changing everything in all industries. And the TIDES acronym stands for T for technology, I for institutional change, D for demography, demographic change, E for environment, and S for social values. And our belief is that if companies are focusing on looking at these 5 forces of change and having discussions around them and asking people throughout the business and their suppliers what impact those forces are having on their industry, they're going to identify about 80 to 90% of the challenges and the opportunities facing their business over the next 3 to 5 years. What I'm going to be talking to you about is I want us to step back. I want us to take advantage of being at this conference and step away from our day-to-day jobs and look at what may be coming over the horizon. Those things which may be shaping our industry over the next sort of 3 to 5 years. I think possibly a really good insight that I could provide you with is, rather than give you a whole lot of answers, is rather give you a whole lot of good questions to be asking. I think if you leave this session asking more questions than you get answers, then I'll have considered my job well done. And what I'd like to do is give you a tool, a model, a framework, which you can take back to your businesses and begin to have these strategic discussions and these conversations around the impacts and the driving changes, the disruptive forces impacting your industry. And we believe that's really important, that companies engage in those kind of discussions, largely because companies tend to be too short-term focused, focusing on next quarter's results or at most of an annual result. And often they trip up then because we're not looking far enough into the future. Now, I'm not talking about companies looking 10, 20 years and trying to predict that far into the future, but really just understanding big changes that may be disrupting their industry over the next 3 to 5 years. The new normal is all about, after the credit crisis and the recession, things definitely changed. Consumers changed, industries changed. I think there's no going back to the old way of work. We see the recession and the credit crisis as not just an economic downturn, but actually a tipping point between the old way of work and the new way of work. So there are new business models and new ways of doing things, and we're not going back to the old ways. There's a lot of doom and gloom in the world about what's happening at the moment, and I think that's because people are just too focused on the short term. Yes, there are a lot of challenges and there's a lot of turbulence in the economy at the moment, and there is overcapacity in shipping. But if we look a little bit further, the predictions for the world economy are absolutely amazing. With the BRIC countries and the N11 developing and emerging nations taking over the economic steam of the world, the world economy is set to quadruple by the year 2050. So there are huge opportunities for shipping to play a leading role, or to continue playing a leading role in globalization, as shipping routes are going to change as developing nations get wealthier and wealthier. And there are exciting opportunities for shipping.